Hey guys, John Bunn here again with a new video. Man, I'm excited about this channel. I'm so excited about all of the comments and people messaging me, and it's so much fun for me to be building something new. Last week we talked about my first month on YouTube and watching the channel grow, nearing 500 subscribers at the time of recording this, and it's just so fun for me to be doing this and getting so many kind words. I do, it's embarrassing or vulnerable to be doing this and, wondering what people will think or wondering if people will judge me. And I know I have confidence in myself, and I know that I'm my heart behind this and everything. But for me, it's been really neat to put myself in a position of vulnerability, hoping that people don't think this channel is about me, puffing up my chest or tooting my own horn. And I thank you for subscribing and for being, here and being, involved in helping me with my confidence when it comes to this channel. So today, though, on this video, it's Friday. It's the end of the week. We have actually been launching a course for our How to Film Weddings podcast, and it is doing really, really well. We launched it earlier this year, and it's generated a lot of revenue for us. And I really wanted to make a video. A lot of people ask me, like, do you make money podcasting? And is it something that is helping you pay your bills or make extra? And I just wanted to title this video, how podcasting changed my life. And I have been filming weddings since 2007, and we charge a little bit more than most people, and people in the wedding video industry were messaging me all the time saying, hey, how are you making so much money doing these weddings? How are you charging so much? Can you mentor me? Can I pay you to mentor you or to be mentored by you? Because I want to grow my business. And I ran across this guy named Nick Miller in one of these wedding video groups, and he was producing these videos that were insanely good. And I just asked him, hey, would you be willing to come shoot a wedding with me? He lived in Kansas. I was doing a wedding in Oklahoma City. And I was like, come shoot a wedding with me. He did. We hit it off. He started asking me business questions. I started asking him questions about how he was shooting and editing. And I asked him if he would be interested in creating a YouTube channel or a brand around education. I had been talking about doing education for a while because my inbox was full of people asking me questions all the time, and I wanted to put out content, but it just didn't look and feel like I wanted it to. And so, long story short, we became good friends, and between March and October of 2018, we made a YouTube channel and did some YouTube videos. But in October of 2018, we decided we're going to give it our best with a podcast. And I had seen other people do podcasting, and I told Nick, I was just like, hey, it can be really lucrative. It can make us a lot of money if we do this the right way, but it's going to take a little while. It's going to take a build. And we both kind of shook and said, we're going to do this for 6 months and see what happens. And about 2 or 3 months in, we realized we had something big and it was growing. We created a Facebook group, and you fast forward to earlier this year, and we were getting somewhere around 15 to 20,000 downloads a month of our podcast. I was able to monetize it and things like that. But I wanted to start by talking about when it started to grow. Like, we had just gotten going. It was vulnerable. There was nobody that was guaranteeing that we were going to make any money, and people started really tuning in. We started getting people excited about our content. We started growing it, and we started accepting sponsors and things like that. And it was a lot of hard work up front. And now today where it sits, we've done 125 episodes of that podcast, and it has completely changed my life. It has made us more money than I could have ever imagined. It has given us margin. And so I just wanted to encourage you, if you're out there, it is something that could be really awesome for you. And maybe it's not podcasting, but once it started to grow, we realized that we had a pretty captive audience. We had about 10,000 wedding filmmakers tuning in, listening to our spiel, our content, and the content was really good. If you want to check it out, it's just howtofilmweddings.com. We just made it really easy. But we created this brand around what we were doing, and we started to send messages out to potential sponsors. And it's really interesting, if you have a captive audience of people listening, a lot of people are willing to pay to show up in front of that audience. So for instance, some of our sponsors are companies like MusicBed they license music to wedding filmmakers, and they pay us thousands of dollars a month now to have an ad run on our podcast, and we also link to them all the time and stuff like that. Or a Wedditor who edits wedding films, same thing. Their market is exactly who we are talking to, and so by having this pure audience, it really started to become lucrative for us. It really started to make us a lot of money, and with somewhere in the 15 to 20,000 downloads a month, we were able to start charging $2,000 to $3,000 a month per sponsor to be a part of our podcast. And so as it sits today, we're making over $10,000 a month just on sponsors for our podcast. And this is people that are paying to show up via ads in front of our intros for our podcast during the podcast, and then we point people to them. And so they're products that we love and all that kind of good stuff. But the idea here is that because we built an audience, we were able to charge money to have people, show up in front of them. And the more pure the audience was, the better that was. Now, I don't know about you, but most of the time, with my wedding film business, I would go film a wedding, I'd get paid, I would edit the wedding, and I would give it to the client. And then I'd have to go back out and film another wedding and do the same thing again and again to make money. You'd go out, you kill something, you drag it home, you eat it, and you're out of food. You got to go back out, and that's kind of the process that most of us work in. Now, if I were giving you one small piece of advice that could change your life, it would be, what areas do you see in your life where you could create something once or grow something to where it's making money for you while you're not doing anything? Yes, there's a ton of work, not passive income, none of that. I mean, we still work really hard, but in a typical day now, we're making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars off of things that are just randomly coming in from different streams with our podcast. And so the first thing we did was we monetized the podcast with advertisements, but then we were able to start making money with affiliate links to the tune of several $1,000s a month. And then I wanted to get to the point in this video where we're talking about the courses that we created. In February, we released a course called The Complete Wedding Videographer, and it was everything that Nick and I knew about wedding filmmaking. It was 25 hours of content, a digital course, and we put it at $1,800 for the course. We saved up and paid cash to invest a lot of money into marketing this and to growing it and stuff. And so we put down and into it like $50,000, and it was all money that we had generated from our podcast, but we sold hundreds of memberships to this course. So it more than paid for itself and generated us more money than we could have ever imagined. And it was because of all of this work we had put in growing our podcast for the last 2 years and keeping in front of people and keep putting in the work and keep doing things. In February, we released that course for 1 week, and it sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of courses for us, which set up incredibly well for this year with the pandemic that's going on. It was money in our pocket. We were able to have digital products for people, and it got us to a point to where we were financially free. So after we released that course, everything shut down, and most people I would say ended up just taking a few months off. They started just doing kind of whatever they wanted to do. And Nick and I kind of sit down, and we knew we wanted to create another course. We had started getting asked a lot of questions about how to make a podcast, and we were going to wait till 2021, but because of quarantine, it was like, do you want to maybe look at this idea of creating a second podcast teaching people how to podcast? And so it's kind of Inception-like, but we created a new brand called How to Make a Podcast, and it is a podcast teaching people that want a podcast how to podcast. And so over the next 3 months, March, April, May, I drafted and wrote an entire course called the Podcast Blueprint, and we started marketing and advertising, and we released that course this summer, and it made over 30 grand in its first month. And what it's done for me is create all of this margin, and it's helped me pay off so much debt and continue to live a lifestyle that I want to live. And it was all because of podcasting. And I'm not saying you should start a podcast. I'm not saying you have to start a podcast. But what is it that's out there that you could start doing that would grow to a point where it makes money while you're not doing things, while you're at the park with your kids, you get an order from your shop, or there's things out there that you can create once, and it will make you money over time. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about before I got off of here is digital templates we had digital templates in our How to Film Wedding shop that people could purchase for $50 or $75 or $100 that would be something like, one of our templates is 40 emails to run your wedding video business. It's $75, and they're templates that we've drafted that a wedding filmmaker can come purchase, and they can use that in their business, right? So they pay $75 once, and then they have all of these emails, all of this time that I've spent and Nick has spent generating these emails, these templates that we send. They have those now. They have access. It saves them time, but they're willing to pay money for it. And so we have like 8 or 7, I don't know, products in our shop, and every single day, literally every day, orders are coming in because we built this audience. People are finding us, and they're buying things that we put in our shop a year ago, year and a half ago. Last month alone, we made over $5,000 just on our digital templates inside of our shop. It's mind-blowing what's going on. And so I've gotten to this weird place where every single day, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars are coming in through all these different channels. And it's a little overwhelming in the fact that it's just like, oh my goodness, this is so fun and so cool to see all of this come in. And so I'm going to spend more time talking about making podcasts and what we're doing and how we're generating money with it. But before the end of the video, I wanted to point you to a couple of places. If you're interested in podcasting, check out howtomakeapodcast.co. I'll put a link in the description underneath this video. But that's our course. That's our podcast. There's free education teaching people how to make a podcast. And it's simple. It's easy stuff. We have a course called the Podcast Blueprint, if anyone's interested in that. And then the last thing I wanted to do was share just a little bit of like how much podcasting has been generating us this year. Now, I'm not going to go into exact details just because of contracts with sponsors and things like that. But for this year, podcasting each month on average with everything that's come in has averaged us over $30,000 a month. Now, that's with sponsors, that's with courses, that's with paid things, that's with affiliates, that's everything. But that, to me, I get to split that in half. So it's added over $15,000 a month into my bank account on top of my wedding video business, which has caused an incredible amount of margin in my life where we can do things that we never thought we could do before. We're living in this life where now I'm just able to really chunk money at this debt. And it's because we committed to a goal at the beginning with this podcast to create really good content, to do it over time, to let it simmer, to let it grow. It took a lot of hard work. It was like 15 months before we really saw any real money. But now it's just coming in every single which way. Like I get notifications buzzed on my phone all day long. You received an order, you received an order, you received a payment. And it has changed my life. So if you want to hear more about like the ins and outs of the podcasting, the revenue, things like that, let me know in the comments below. I hope you have an awesome Friday or whatever day it is that you're watching this video. And I can't wait to see you all in the next video.